Mischief maker Mercury's heading retrograde on April the 1st. Yes, April Fool's Day to everyone. He's going to head backwards through the sky till the 25th of April before he turns around and goes into direct motion. Yet again, we're going to dive into to the story today of how this Mercury retrograde in the sign of Aries is very special. It is a part of what we call an elemental fire year, where Mercury spends all of 6 months of 12 dominating the signs of Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, and what this might mean for you, as well as how this is a very rare Mercury retrograde that goes back to the late 60s, in which he's involved with a Chiron North Node conjunction, as well as a solar eclipse on April the 8th. It's a humdinger. We could call this a very eclipse-infused Mercury retrograde. So this is a big deal, and we're going to talk about your sun sign, moon sign, but most accurate, please listen for your rising, because your rising is everything about you at the steering wheel of your life. But the sun can be about your career or your purpose or your father or father figures in your life. Whereas this moon can be about your home, your body, your emotions, and also, of course, your mother and mother figures. Yet the rising sign can be truly all about you. So try listening for that if you know it. You don't know how to get your rising sign? In the description box below, I have, how to cast your chart in whole sign houses. Tutorial allows you to also find your rising sign. So grab that description box below under the more button. You get a lot of stuff from me for free. By the way, are you new to my channel? Welcome, Lori Lothian, Lunatic Astrology, Western Tropical Zodiac, whole sign houses, and fixed stars and minor asteroids, all on my gig. And I do 40 to 50 videos a month here on YouTube. And if you want to sign up to try me out, hit the like button, subscribe. I don't think you'll be disappointed if you like mundane astrology as well. I do cover world events quite often through the lens of astrology. Now, the only thing I might share is my Sky Reader class is starting mid-April. If you want to jump aboard, please do. Get the description box link below to get onto the early bird discount waitlist and know when the enrollment cart will open. 6 weeks live with me, Q&A, and everything else to learn astrology and be your own astrologer and time your best life. Live Q&As, live classes, high touch learning environment with a Facebook group as well. And you get the replays, and you get access to this forever. Okay, forever and ever and ever. It's in my teaching platform. After you've been taught, you can keep it. All right, guys, it's been a day. It's Mercury retrograde already. Can you feel it? Can you feel it? I'm recording this on March the 29th. It's my dad's birthday. And I honestly can feel this retrograde because it's a pre-shadow of the retrograde. I've been, having tech collapses and glitches galore. I even got sold a bill of goods and ended up being with my cell phone provider. And I'm almost in fraud lawsuit mode right now about stuff that's happened during this pre-shadow of the retrograde regarding technology in my life. So I know you all probably already feel the retrograde before April 1st. But it is on April 1st that Mercury does station retrograde, and we want to pay attention to the range of motion. He will retrograde between the degrees of 26 Aries when he stations to turn around retrograde and 15 Aries. You might wonder, why is a planet going backwards? He's not. It's just because he's between the Earth and the Sun that he seems to be going backwards because of the differential motion and speed of the Earth, Mercury, and relative to our visual sight in the sky. And the Sun, of course, is behind him. So he's between us and the Sun. When he's this way, he's close to Earth. He's not behind the Sun. He's in front of the Sun, relative to our viewpoint. And this makes him more tricky, magical, profound energy. Often you get the more kind of spiritual stuff out of him, like especially synchronicity, signs, portents and omens and big dreams. Okay, keep that in mind. But he's also still Mercury, and he does cause delays and tech problems and travel delays, and he rules travel, he rules commerce and tech, and so things can go wonky for sure, but it's not the worst thing in the world, right? I mean, I'm going to be teaching a class in a Mercury retrograde. If you've done it before, you've traveled there before, you've taught the class before, you've done something with that thing before, it's okay in a retrograde already. Now, if you have any planets, okay, sitting between 26 and 15 Aries, but most importantly, your sun, your moon, and your rising is going to be the bigger deal, right? Sun, moon, and rising in those degrees, it does matter. So if you have planetary placements there, then you will find that you're engaged a lot in this retrograde. Now, specifically, say if you have your sun or your moon or your rising sign between 23 and 29 degrees of Aries, Libra, Capricorn, and Cancer, you are angular to the onset of the retrograde because it's at 26 Aries. So I gave you a range, and therefore it's important for you. 23 to 29 degrees of the cardinal signs of Cancer, Capricorn, Libra, and Aries really feel this retrograde in your whole sign, Aries house of your natal sky. I'm an Aquarius rising. It makes Aries my whole sign third house, for example. And when he turns around to go direct on the 25th of April, he's turning around at 15 degrees of Aries. So you know how this works, right, guys? 13 degrees to 18 degrees of Aries, Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn are in the crosshairs. Now, they're the most intense, but you have planets anywhere in those degrees in any sign to some degree. You're feeling it. If you're a Leo and a Sag with sun, moon, or rising, yes, between 23 and 29 degrees, then this onset of the retrograde really impacts you in a positive way because it's a flow to your signs of fire, and it's part of that elemental fire year. And if you're a sextile sign, like an Aquarius sign, which is 2 away from Aries, right? 2 away, or a Gemini, which is 2 away on the other side, those flow in a sextile. And again, 23 to 29 degrees of Aquarius and Gemini, you kind of flow to this retrograde onset, and the turnaround direct 13 to 18 Aries on the 25th of April. You're also quite appreciating that turnaround point. Okay. Now, one thing about this retrograde that's very unusual is we haven't seen Mercury in an elemental fire year ever since 2017. In other words, he's spending a long time, 2 months in all of the fire signs, and this activates the trigon or triad of fire in your sky. When we do the all signs, I'll explain that in a bit. You know, you can also watch my video with Gary Caton that I recorded in December for the 2024 big transits, explaining in detail and conversing with the expert astrologer on Mercury, Gary Caton, about how this fire energy plays out in each of our lives. Fire is about initiative, daring, and ambition and new beginnings. It's also connected to signs that are very warrior-like. Leo is about the kings and rulers. The soldiers and warriors are Aries, and the arrows that fly through the bow are Sagittarius. And of course, we see a lot of war going on right now, don't we? So keep that in mind. Now, the other rare thing here is Chiron, and also, of course, the North Node. Chiron and the North Node were traveling together in the late 60s, 68, 69, but certainly 1969. And therefore, we have this energy that's back again, not seen since the late 60s, of Chiron, the wounded healer, in proximity to the North Node of fate, also known as Rahu, who creates the eclipse energy in the sky, because the North and South Node are math points where eclipses happen, basically. They're past the path of the eclipses are where the nodes are. And when we see it this way, we have to realize how incredibly powerful this is, because not only is Mercury in a not seen since 2017 2-month stay in Aries, and that would have been the spring of 2017, and retrograding as a part of an elemental fire year, but also we see him with Chiron and the North Node. Chiron has been here since February 2019 in Aries, and that represents a part of your life in your whole sign house system wheel of astrology in your natal chart that's been experiencing a sense of woundedness. As an Aquarius rising, my wound in the house of travel and writing makes sense to me. I've been wounded because I lost my excitement for writing back in 2019. I don't even know what happened. I'm a blogger, a journalist, a writer, and all of a sudden I just stopped writing. And I'm getting the excitement to write again, coming back. And I also couldn't travel because of the pandemic, and it's my travel house. And so a lot of you might look at this time since 2019 and look at your Aries house in the house system, your whole sign house, and say, well, have I been wounded here? You know, like Aries for Libra risings are your marriage house, you know, that kind of thing. If you're a Cancer rising sign, right, then your Aries part of your sky is your house of career and purpose. So that kind of understanding helps. I'll be delineating that in the all signs. Finally, this is not a mundane video. I'm just focusing on you guys on the retrograde. But finally, mundane meaning world astrology. Finally, I would like to note that this eclipse on April the 8th is conjunct Chiron. Now, Chiron's been warming up for this, right? The wounded healer who had a wound he could not heal. He's been getting ready for this whole darn shebang called an eclipse. Why don't you go back in your imaginations to February 19th and March the 5th, when the true and then mean node co-joined with Chiron. This is an attempt to bring your attention to the wound and perhaps to supply the ingredients for that healing of what ails you in your Aries part of your chart. All chironic wounds are connected to the archetype of sacrifice as well. Now, also, I would like you to know that Mercury himself wants to participate in this chironic healing. Yes, that eclipse is there, and Mercury's, embedded in the hot mess of this eclipse energy for sure, as he moves in this part of the sky. Mercury has been in the sign of Aries since way back in March. I try to remember the date, maybe it's till May 15th and March the something. Someone in my comments remind me how far back he has been here. Let me look at my old notes that I had handy a while ago. Like, he's been in the sign of Aries for a dog's age, right? I'll just call it a dog's age because it makes sense. But I haven't got it written down on a handy notepad. Sorry about that. Let me double check. Maybe it's over here. No, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, so I think it's at the end of the first week of March, and he leaves on May 15th. He's in Aries, but the retrograde is April the 1st. But I want you to be aware that as he's doing his story of moving through Aries, where the Chironic eclipse is happening on April the 8th, and where the North Node met with Chiron on the 19th of February and the 5th of March, all of this is happening. He connected Mercury moving in direct motion, moving forward. He connected already with Chiron, and that was March the 20th. Write it down, okay? March the 20th. Because what was happening in your life March the 20th? Emails, phone calls, text messages, check your schedule, check your day timer. What things were happening around March 20th? A day or two on either side, when Mercury co-joined with Chiron in Aries. Because then on April the 15th, he comes back for a second try, retrograde. And then he goes back over Chiron May 7th. So write these dates down. March the 20th, April 15th, and May 7th are all interconnected narratives about information, ideas, downloads, and healing of the chironic wound. Indeed, we're having a big Mercury cazimi on April the 11th. I'll be doing a video all about that. 3 beautiful stars conjunct this cazimi that I really want you to learn to harness and use. And so pay attention to that cazimi that cazimi video coming up closer to April the 11th. But in the meantime, just getting the retrograde vibe, Mercury in the heart of the sun, rebirthing himself on April the 11th, coming out the rebirth and hitting, on April 15th, a retrograde touchdown with Chiron, and then May 7th going back over Chiron direct, and then leaving Aries on May 15th. So you're going to have 3 chances, the 3 chance thing, door number 1, 2, 3 chances to heal the chironic wound, but Mercury's one story in 3 parts. Things that are going on in your communication, your ideas, your thoughts, your legal contracts, your commerce, your marketing and merchandising, your ideas, your travel plans, even these are mercurial elements. March 20th, April 15th, and May 7th are all interconnected, but also deeper than that, the healing of the chironic wound is the story at play here. Okay. So we're going to move away from that story, and I'm going to start talking about each sign. This is not a long video. You're probably getting this on a Sunday. It's being recorded on a Friday, March the 29th, where my Patreon community gets its early access ad-free. If you like the idea of not having to watch ads and you want to join my community for $5, get a Zoom meeting with me every month for the $5 tier, with a group, then you can do that. Come join me. Come join us. And I'm giving away Synastry, Are You My Person Astrology course, and Chiron, the Key to Purpose, free for anyone who tries me out on Patreon. And you can keep the courses and leave my Patreon community even if you don't like it. All right. So let's get talking about the sky. It's cued for Libra right now. I'm going to move it to Aries. But right now, if I just annotate for you, it might help. I will show you, for those of you who are like most of my followers, learning astrology. Now, a lot of you love my mundane astrology, and I will be putting more content out about this situation in the world with the elections, Trump, the war, the Ukraine war and stuff in the near future. But I want to keep this one simple. I also want you to realize astrology does not make me political. I know people think I have a bias, X, Y, Z. I don't care. Trump or Biden to me are equally bad. I'm a Canadian. I don't have a beef about Israel having its own, place to be in the world. I just have a beef about genocide. That's all, just that. That's it. That's about my only, bias here. I have a bias against genocide. If you don't have a bias against genocide, then I'm probably not your astrologer, right? Not the right person for you. Now, let's do some little circling here, right? I'm going to annotate for us. This is Venus, the goddess of, oh my God, where's my annotation going? It's not annotating. I've never seen that happen. Oh, there we go. Okay, this is the circle of influence here, guys. Whoa. Chiron, 19 degrees. This is April 11th. This is the Cazimi. I just finished teaching a webinar this morning. This is the Cazimi that's happening on April 11th. So it doesn't have to be cued to the Cazimi, but you can see anyway that Mercury is moving through the sign of Aries. He's with the sun, where the sun is here in Aries. He's with Chiron and he's with Venus. And this is why we're paying attention to this story. He's already retrograde, right? He's come off of the turnaround point on April the 1st from 26 degrees of Aries and is moving backward and moves into the heart of the sun. The sun will leave about approximately 8 days later and move into Taurus from the Cazimi on April the 8th. And here we have Venus, the goddess of love in Xena warrior princess mode, or in Laura Tomb Raider, or some kind of heroic masculine version of the feminine. So she's got her warrior hat on here, and she's more tomboy and aggressive, but she's in her exile from her home kingdom of Libra across the way. So she's not in her strongest suit, and she is the goddess of peace. And of course, we can just say peace isn't going to come easy when Venus is here. That's the end of the story. And she's also the morning star, which is more warrior-like, okay? She's not going to become an evening star till after June the 4th. So this could look like the Chironic wound around war and the lack of peace. And expect on the Cazimi of April 11th a revealing of something that was hidden from view. That's usually in a news cycle. Something will come out on April 11th that was unseen, unknown, and it will be revealed to the world. And with Pluto here flowing to this, but also to Venus, Pluto likes to dig up the dirt. And Mercury loves to dig up the dirt too when he's talking to Pluto. So some dirt is getting dug up in the news cycle. That's like a wound around war and peace stories around or on April the 11th in that Cazimi energy of Mercury within 17 minutes or a degree of the sun, depending on which tradition you are using. Mars is the ruler of the travels of Mercury through the sign of Aries, which is to say he's swimming in the water, Piscean Sea with Neptune, the sea god, and Saturn, hardship and constraint. That could look like some blow-ups around April 11th of water war stories or hardship with water or water disasters or something like that. We'll see what happens. And Pisces is a sign of refugees, exiles, indigenous, underprivileged, underserved people, and refugees as well as displaced peoples. And I think I can think of some displaced peoples. Do you guys know where maybe 1.5 million people have been squashed into a tiny bit of land in tents with no food and water? So Mars is in that place, right? Where the Piscean waters are often about those refugee type folks or displaced folks, etc. People enduring especially in seashore energies, seashore hardships. And this is also connected somehow to not just the Cazimi, but the whole Mercury retrograde story, because Mars will not leave Pisces until April the 30th. So until then, we see a lot of energy about that water hardship and that people's displaced hardship. When Mars moves on April 30th into Aries, then we're looking at a hot mess. Like, I don't even know what to say that's going to be yet. I don't even know what that will be yet, right? April 30th. But that's Mars, the god of war, in the sign of war with the Chironic wound coming off the eclipse. So let's just all wait and see what happens. And finally, everyone's talking about it. I'll have a separate video on the April 10th conjunction of Mars and Saturn, but that's in the backdrop as well of this Mercury retrograde. Okay. But this is really about the Mercury retrograde in your life. So let's get rolling on it. Oops. I want to cancel the annotation into the trash bin. Clear all drawings. We're going to start with Aries, and we're going to give you guys a short and sweet, I hope, understanding of the following 3 things. 1, it's an elemental fire year. What does it mean for you with Mercury in Aries for so long? Number 2, this is his retrograde with the Chironic wound that started in April of 2000 and February 2019. What does that mean for you? And don't forget, there's an eclipse here and it's all bundled in. It's an eclipsey version of a Mercury retrograde. So let's see if we can get through this in the next 35 to 40 minutes and we're going to roll. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Welcome back, all my regulars, Discerning Light, Misbehaving, Crystalline Alchemist, Twisted Art Lady, Our Soul Songs, Stephen the Jupiterian, Jupiter 8, Michael Thrash, Serge LaBelle. Who did I miss? Herbal Empress and more. Thanks for being a part of my regular crowd on my channel. I know I can create a membership here on YouTube, and I might, but I just don't like the idea of YouTube having my people. That sounds terrible. But I get deplatformed, that you guys are not really with me. That's why I'm trying to shut you all over to Patreon. Okay, so moving into the story for Aries. Give me a minute while I back us up a bit. So listen for your rising sign first, then your sun can be about career and purpose, and moon can be about home and body and all that stuff. So, and rising sign is most accurately about everything. It's about you using the whole sign house system. We're delineating that way as the ancients did. So here we have it. Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. What's going on for you is you're experiencing, apparently, a real identity crisis as Chiron entered the house of your identity back in February 2019. It may have impacted your health, your sense of self-worth, or anything about how you feel, okay in your own skin. And I want to remind you that with this Mercury transit in his journey retrograde and also just through Aries, there are those 3 passes of his narrative. And you think I can remember the dates, but I have Menno brain. Give me a minute. I'll just read it once to myself. I have it on my back notes and then I'll never forget it, right? Hang on, guys. Yeah, the 3 dates are March the 20th, April the 15th, and May 7th. So March 20th, April 15th, and May 7th, it's during the April 15th retrograde that you want to pay attention. Also notice that ideas from the past, thoughts from the past, people from the past could come up, but you're the one going retrograde. So it's really what kinds of sense of self, identity, what kinds of concepts or ideas do you have, what kind of communications that you want to put into the world are coming back from the past during the retrograde between April the 1st and the 25th. Also, you may find, I really don't think I can memorize these dates in my mind. So March 20th, April 15th, and May 7th. March 20th, April 15th, May 7th. I got it. I think I got it locked and loaded. April, yeah. Oh. April 15th, yeah. March 20th, April 15th, and May 7th. Okay. So here we go. I want to remind you that this is always going to be an inside job when Mercury's in the house of you. No one's pulling the rug out from underneath you, but you can change your mind on things. So things you thought you were going to do, things you wanted to have, places to go, people to be with, trips you wanted to plan, ideas you thought you wanted to execute, feel free to change your mind. Mercury retrograde is a change of mind on April 1st. I hate to say this, but I think I know what I'm changing my Aries sun mind on. And so that's a career choice. And some of you may be making some changes of your mind about your home, moon, career, sun, or ascendant, anything going on in your life. Let's see if you can't heal this Chironic wound of identity over the next elemental fire year. You're firing up on all cylinders through houses 1, 5, and 9, Dharma houses, life purpose houses. This is what the big year ahead is, finding your life's purpose. No small feat. All right, Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. I need a sip of my kombucha. Give me a minute. I hope my man bought some wine for the house. Lori's might be going out for wine. We should have a martini and a glass of wine later. The wine liver's middle way is not working on me, guys. I think I need to start like hardcore in Portugal on my Camino walk. So by the way, we filled the entire thing up. 14 of you, listeners or newsletter subscribers or friends and family of mine or whatever, are joining me in Portugal for the El Camino walk. And if it goes well, I might do something like it on the yearly. Well, I call in the tribe from my listeners, my clients, and you guys. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising. So the 12th house is very much what Mercury loves. This is your dreams at night and your inner life and your meditations. And he's very good at giving you divine downloads here, especially on that Cazimi on April the 10th. 11th. But on top of that, you've had a Chironic wound in your 12th house, perhaps since 2019. That's where you have addictions, self-undoing. My daughter's a Taurus and she finally skipped the vape and quit it. Where have you been addicted to a substance or a habit or a pattern that sabotages your highest well-being? Because with Chiron here since 2019, you've noticed it. Now, with this movement of Mercury through this part of the sky and reminding you of the dates of March the 20th, April 15th, and May the 7th. This is his 3 passes over the Chironic wound, and the retrograde pass in April on the 15th may be the most important because he's diving deep into your dream realm, into your imagination, into your inner life to give you the clues and information and whatever you need to like kick a habit or an addiction. Possibly you've been wounded in the 12th house because of care tending a sick person in the hospital, having to deal with issues to do with money from foreign shores and foreign places, maybe some challenges here with your spiritual beliefs and your alignment with the divine. And that's been plaguing you as well since 2019. And some of that is coming to a close, especially off of the April 8th eclipse at least a year. Mercury is a protector of travelers. And when he retrogrades here, April 1st to 25th, some of you may go traveling to a foreign place, especially for spiritual or pilgrimage vibes, but just foreign travel to a place you have been before. So my Taurus daughter will be traveling to Mexico where she has been before. This stuff is real, right? It really does work. And I would also say 12th house matters sometimes can be about a kind of a bed pleasures, what you do in the privacy of your boudoir. And if you've been suffering from bed pleasure problems, you do have Venus here, the goddess of bed pleasures herself, being a little more aggressive. But some of you may find that this retrograde brings former love and bed pleasure stories back from the past, potentially reuniting you with a bed pleasure partner during the retrograde, which again, as I remind you, is, April 1st to the 25th. This is an elemental Mercury fire year, firing you up on all cylinders in moksha houses, 12, 4, and 11, 8, opening up a corridor of spiritual awareness, awakening, and enlivenment, but also legacy wealth, inheritances, money from a home property sale and real estate, or money connected to those who may be passing or ill are all possibilities, not to scare you, but it's just here, right? It's what happens when the sky does its rinse and repeat mode. Go back to 2017 for that same energy playing through the sky, okay? The elemental fire year of Mercury. Gemini, sun, moon, especially rising, you have this movement of Mercury from the 1st April Fool's Day to the 25th retrograding through your 11th house of good spirit, where you have good things happen normally. But because this is friends, benefactors, allies, larger social groups of friendships, and even the elder sibling, those people can come to you from the past, emails, phone calls, or text messages, reuniting, reconnecting. Or you may go back to an older group of belonging that you have abandoned or gotten away from, and you'll reunite with that energy. So for me as a progressed sun in Gemini, maybe I'll join the NCGR again because I lost my membership to let it expire it's a group for astrologers. Now, remember that there is going to be Mercury doing 3 touchdowns with Chiron, and that's a part of healing the Chironic wound since 2011 in the house of friendships, belonging. You may felt out of touch, like you don't fit in, like you don't belong to your friends, like your groups of belonging have disappointed you. Even maybe feeling some of your long-range dreams and plans and wishes have been wounded for your life, or even some of the greater career gains you wish to experience have felt like they were wounded. These are 11th house narratives. Now, Mercury will be on March the 20th. He already did it. April 15th, a retrograde pass over Chiron, and in the future, of course, May the 7th, 3-part story of healing the Chironic wound. Look for emails, phone calls, text messages from others, big siblings, benefactors, allies, friends, people who want to help you, and see what happens here in colleagues and coworkers in the larger sphere of your career. Maybe not even like I'm an astrologer, another astrologer could be reaching out from the past during the retrograde pass over Chiron. And the elemental fire year is activating your houses 11, 3, and 7 relational houses about self on self, self on other, and self on many. And it's also idea because it's naturally the sign of air. So relational houses and ideas are really picking up for you, and you're expanding and revising and energizing with Mercury. We're 6 months in fire signs, the part of your chart that's about relating to others, you and the audience, you and your partner, and you within yourself. Cancer, sun, moon, and rising sign, Mercury is moving through a retrograde on April 1st to the 25th in your 10th house. Don't forget, he's staying there for 2 months. It's a big deal. Time where he's elementally fired up in fire. That just definitely means, I'll just jump to that for you now. This is an Artha house energy of 10, 2, and 6, where this whole year opens up greater and shifts and changes and developments and breakthroughs in your money, work, and career stories. Maybe you've been feeling a bit wounded about your purpose and career in the reputation space, or had a wounded reputation, slandered, or something bad happened. And, since 2019, when Chiron's up here wounding the reputation, but wounding the career success and purpose part of the sky, he's more significantly saying, find the key to purpose. Find your purpose. Chiron is the key to your purpose in the house of your career. So you've been trying to figure that out, and this is a turning point year. Look for clues and signs as Mercury retrogrades April 1st to the 25th. Because as he retrogrades through here, you are likely going to hear from colleagues, coworkers, bosses, or career places from the past. Or you're going to change your mind or go back over some old ground in a current career trajectory. Mercury here also will do 3 passes with Chiron. He did the first pass March 20th, the second April 15th, retrograde, and the third one May 7th. Those stories are interconnected. You can try to connect the dots. How are you going to find this April 15th retrograde over Chiron, opening a door from the past to redirect you into a purpose, career, success story? Again, look for situations, people, and opportunities from your past reoccurring or reemerging in April 15th, perhaps, just more accurately. Finally, I'd say the energy of that eclipse is big for you guys. I mean, especially if you're a Cancer rising, okay? Anywhere with your ascendant near the 19th degree of Cancer, give or take 3 degrees on either side. It's really going to be a big doorway, 4-minute eclipse, possible 4-year new trajectory in your career and reputation matters. So it matters a lot. Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. This is an energy here where you experience this movement of Mercury April 1st to the 25th through your 9th house of God. And the energy can invite you to find your connection to your spiritual truth by going backwards to old spiritual beliefs, philosophies, churches, religions, or whatever, that makes you feel good about life. This is an elemental fire year too. So Mercury is saying houses 9, 1, and 5 are alive this year, like a way we haven't seen since 2017. And it's going to bring you into alignment with your dharma or your truest calling, purpose, right action, and the proper use of your gifts and talents. You might find with Mercury retrograde up here too, that situations or people from the past to do with book publishing or legal and court matters are in touch with you, or that you change your mind or change your course on those matters. But also, this is the house of travel, and he's a patron of travelers and protects them on their pilgrimages. Some of you may travel to a foreign place that you've been before, because when he retrogrades on the 1st to the 21st, that's quite possible for some of you Leos. And with Mercury up here, definitely it's a metacosmos between the world's house. So there is an eclipse here. He's embedded in the April 8th eclipse. And you might find that you're going to get some incredible downloads and insights about the nature of your spiritual truth, God, and reality during this window of time as he flows to you from the 9th house to your Leonine ascendant. All right. Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. That my daughter's a Virgo, so I love you guys. She's a Virgo rising. All right, bottom line. This is awkward. This is happening in your 8th house. You can't quite witness it, so it's kind of an aversion, right? It's offside, blinders. But nonetheless, it is a money house, and so technically, it's your chunky money is my phrase. It's unearned income. It's resources that come to you from sharing money with your marriage partner, business partner, inheritances, royalty income, investment income, shared monies with a creditor like a bank, a mortgage, your debt, your credit card. So you leverage those money. So that's the kind of money that's the 8th house typically. And Mercury is going to retrograde here April 1st to 25th, and you're going to go backwards. So what ground were you going forward over since, back in March when he started navigating here, or in your life in general, maybe in a way that's much more like what was happening in your chunky money in 2017. Because as he goes backwards here, he could be opening up a doorway for you of some sort of inheritance money. My daughter got some inheritance money from her grandma that year, for example. So where, as a Virgo rising, she came into some money. What are you going to get in chunky money that Mercury's bringing to you from your past? Now, that's a key point in the retrograde portion. For my daughter's example, the money was gifted to her by her grandma, but she was underage to receive it. It was in a trust, and she couldn't get her hands on it until she was a certain age, which was in 2017. So money from the past can come to you April the 1st to the 25th. You're healing a Chironic wound around chunky money, about how others esteem you, about secrets, about forbidden sexuality, about trauma. Often trauma stuff belongs to the 8th house, or psychological damage. And you're healing some of those things, or trying to. You felt wounded here since 2019. I think my daughter felt wounded. She blew off the inheritance, spent it all in one summer. She was very young. But I'm going to tell you that this is going to be a very important eclipse here, April 8th. And more importantly, Chironic healing with Mercury's support of this difficult part of your sky. You could say things like sexual shame belong here as well. And with Mercury going through this part of the sky, pay attention to go back to March 20th, then fast forward to April 15th. That's his retrograde touchdown with Chiron. And his last Chiron conjunction will be on May the 7th. And each of those stories can give you ideas, news, information, or insights that help heal that Chironic wound of the 8th house. This is also money you might get in a separation or a legal agreement with a divorce as well. The elemental fire year activates your moksha houses of 4, 8, 12, spiritual liberation, family of inheritances, resources from your family of origin, mom and dad, money coming through the ancestral line, and things as well to do with your own release from your own self-undoing, and ancestral line curses and challenges. Here we have Libra, sun, moon, and rising sign. Guys, I'm going to just pause the recording and grab a chocolate. I can only pause the recording when I stop the share. Don't forget, you want to learn astrology with me, get on that wait list. You want to join Patreon and give it a try. I'll be right back. Okay, we're moving into the next sign. Thanks for waiting, guys. And okay, my hair is like a hot mess today. All right, here we are. It is Libras. So Libra, this is angular to you, right? It's across the way like it is for Cancer, Capricorn. It's square or opposite. So it's a big deal. As I said at the beginning of the video, you want to go back, of course, to think about 2017, because that was the last time Mercury spent so much time in the Aries part of the sky, retrograding as a part of a fire elemental earth year, a fire year. So the fire is in the relating houses, right? You and many people, you and your significant other, you and your, I don't know, siblings, friends, neighbors, right? The relating houses of 3, 7, and 10, 11 are up in lights for you. It's a very relational year for you, Libras, and you're focused on those kinds of connections. But also, this is a very rare event. Chiron, North Node, Eclipse, Mercury retrograde combo. I mean, yeah, sure, the late 60s. So here we have this story where Mercury is saying, April 1st, I go retrograde until the 25th, and former marriage partners, business partners, clients, significant love story people from your past come back again. Get ready. Emails, phone calls, text messages, or they knock on your door. It's also legal agreements from the past, or revising legal agreements and changing your mind about them, or even changing your mind about vows, like vows of marriage or vows of a commitment to something. And you may retrograde April 1st to the 25th and change your mind, or your partner changes their mind, because this is really the house of the other. Now, Mercury does rule negotiations and mediations, and this is a contractual house. So there may be some backstepping or revising some contractual and legal agreements that you've been working on during the April 1st to the 25th retrograde period. The other thing I want to say is, where's this Chironic wound in the house of significant love? Have you or your partner been wounded, or is the relationship itself wounded? Is that business partnership, marriage partner, or client relational energy all wrong somehow? And you felt this acute wound since 2019 with Chiron entering Aries. Now it is healing. It is coming to a close. Certainly, if you're born with Chiron in Aries as a Libra, you are somebody who's been dealing with this lifelong, right? You're having a Chiron return. But it's like, sometimes I find that the Chironic wound in the seventh house is you choose wounded partners. And, you keep choosing the wounded ones to be with. So in love and business. So maybe that's going to change. Maybe you're going to come out of that this year. And pay attention to March the 20th, April the 15th, and May the 7th, and the middle one on the 20th is Mercury and Chiron co-joining from the retrogradation. But all three dates are interconnected as Mercury Chiron come together. And that's where information comes to you, news comes to you, conversations are had with the others or with the marriage partner that shed light and understanding on what this Chironic wound is, that this eclipse of the century is trying to blast out of your life as well. I mean, it's not about, is this the right partner? It's about, is this the right way to be in relationship? And that is dramatically changing for you as a consequence of the North Node, a Chironic infused eclipse of April the wow, April the 8th, and then the Cazimi on April the 11th with Mercury in the heart of the sun. You can't make this stuff up. It's so intense. All righty, let's keep going. If a Scorpio's listening in, it's a very subtle but important area of your life, your health and health routines, work and work routines, colleagues, coworkers, your office space, your things to do with your pets and rental agreements and tenancies as well. Things are changing here. Mercury is going back over old ground, April the 1st to the 25th. How are you going to go backwards? You're going to tell the breeder you don't want the pet. You're going to renege on your lease. You're going to renegotiate a lease. You're going to renegotiate your salary. You're going to go back to an old job you've had before. Mercury could do that here. Old colleagues, coworkers, and people from places of employment from your past are reaching out and emailing, phone calling, and texting you. April 1st to the 25th. Someone you dated in the past comes out of the woodwork and is back in the game. Dating is the 6th house because it precedes the 7th house of commitment. With Pluto in your 4th house, by the way, for some of you, it's definitely some big changes regarding rental properties, money, debt, and indebtedness. They can turn around as well. And you may even be able to sell a home with this lineup, or have someone who wanted to buy your home come back to you from the past and say, I want it after all. Here's all the money you asked for. This is also a story where you're in an elemental, and you've been feeling wounded. Let's touch on that. You've been feeling wounded in your 6th house of work, livelihood, health, pets, and rental situations ever since 2019. And this is about to turn around. The eclipse is going to help. The Cazimi with Mercury, all of this month is going to make a big change for you. But this is a healing of the Chironic wound. So therefore, when you go back to March the 20th, this is when Mercury was direct motion conjunct Chiron. And then you go into April 15th when he's retrograde conjunct Chiron, and then May 7th, direct conjunct Chiron, 3 parts of healing the Chironic health wound, the Chironic pet wound, debt wound, rental property wound, work and work situation wound, job wound. Okay. This is a 3-part healing narrative. I don't know, you could go back to an old job and you love it and you wish you had never left it or something like that. So your long lost pet who disappeared in 2019 shows up on your doorstep. I don't know. All right. It's an elemental fire year. It's opening up the Artha houses, or the work and material prosperity of 2, 6, and 10. This hasn't happened since 2017. Go back and see how your income, work, prosperity, career, reputation stuff was enlivened by Mercury's 6-month stay out of a year in the fire sign. So go compare notes and make a sense of it, please. All right, Sagittariuses, you guys are having this amazing elemental fire year. So you and the Leos and the Aries are loving up. Mercury's 6 months in fire in 2024, last seen in 2017. This is going to enliven you in terms of dharma and purpose, and aligning with what your gifts and talents are, and how to properly find and use the meaningful things in life as a face forward, meaning over everything. What is this meaningful? Is this an alignment for me? Is this my purpose? Is this my true north? All right, those are the vibes for you. Now, that said, Mercury is retrograde on April Fool's, the 1st to the 25th of April, and he's doing that retrograde in the house of lovers and love relationships. Fully expect old love stories, love relationships, love partners to come out of the woodwork, or children. If you have communication issues with a child, a Mercury retrograde, say you've been out of touch. Mercury is a child, communication from the past returning. So expect to hear from children that maybe you've been disestranged from or lack a connection with. Children is the 5th house during the retrograde. Maybe here also old creative projects that you put on the shelf, books, artist things, paintings come out of the woodwork. You pull them out of the past to rework on them. Or if you're an entrepreneur, an old entrepreneurial project is revised by you during this time. You might want to pay attention to March the 20th, April the 15th, May the 7th, the 3 touchdowns of Mercury on Chiron. Have you been feeling chironically wounded in romantic love, sexuality, child relationships, things to do with fertility, and also creativity, inspiration, fun, and joy? Has it all been kind of off base, blah, since 2019 when Chiron wounded this part of your chart? Well, it's coming out of the wound into the healing with the eclipse, with the Cazimi, and then with those 3 Mercury dates. This is your turnaround year. And I mean fertility too, getting pregnant or something, you or your partner. With Venus here, you're definitely healing some of you fertility wounds as well as creativity and muse inspiration wounds and play and fun and pleasure wounds that have been placed since 2019. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising, angularity. It's in the 4th house, just as it is for the Cancer. Everyone, cardinal signs, big deal, big deal, big deal. First of all, let's go back to 2017 when Mercury was in an elemental fire year because he's back there. And fire for you are your moksha houses, our spiritual liberation houses of 4, 8, and 12. But on a practical note, the enlivenment not seen since 2017 can bring you some prosperity and commercial success through property buying and selling, through inheritances, through stock trades, through money from foreign shores and foreign entities. Now, my former husband is a Capricorn rising, and he and I had an investment property in 2017 and sold it, and he made a big chunk of money. So Mercury retrograde can bring that money to you through those kinds of 4th house matters, and including inheritances, land, property, real estate, etc. Mercury here can bring people from your past childhood stories back. Who was in your childhood? What people were around you in your childhood? Messages, emails, phone calls from people connected to your childhood years, making an entrance April 1st to the 25th. Capricorn, you felt wounded here, somehow wounded since 2019 about home. Maybe you have not felt at home in the world. Maybe you feel like you don't belong to the people in your home, or your home doesn't have a home. Maybe you're looking for your home and you don't know where you want to nest yourself. And this Chironic wound has been active since 2019. And it is coming into a place of healing this year with the eclipse here, with the touchdowns of Mercury on Chiron. And particularly the mother wound may have been under healing since 2019. Now, March the 20th, April the 15th, and May the 7th, the 3 touchdowns of Mercury, direct, retrograde, direct on Chiron are important. This is where you're going to have turning points. So ideas, news, information, commercial activities, Mercury, commerce, to do with land, property, home, real estate, and maybe activating the house of stocks and investments, 401ks, and money you share with a spouse or partner, and of course, foreign land, foreign shore entities, and revenue generated from there. Let's see, that's the energy of this whole year for you. This eclipse is going to blast you out of the water on April the 8th. Watch my eclipse video. I have one out already. Another one's coming out soon to follow up on it. But this is really going to change how you relate to your career, especially because of almost like a Chironic blast radius of healing things that held you back to do with your childhood. But also with the North Node here, some of you may blast through, and Mars entering here in April, the exile, expat energy. Some of you may actually decide you want to move to a country and live in a country other than the one in which you were born. Aquarius, I'm one of you. I'm a rising. Listen for your rising first, sun and moon second. Hey, it's our 3rd house. I've been wounded there. How have you been since 2019 when Chiron entered into our 3rd house and I haven't written anything? And I felt wounded with my relationship with a sibling and almost blew out at one point. I felt wounded around my inability to travel during the unsafe and ineffective medical protocols that I didn't participate in because I had intuition telling me not to. So in this case, what is happening is the healing of the third house is underway. Siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, nephews, healing, childhood friends and friendships. I lost 2 childhood friends to death. Things to do during the Chironic wound here. Things to do with writing, ideas, communication, social media platforms, neighbors and neighborhood, healing. Mercury here, retrograde. April 1st to the 25th, communication, conversations, emails, phone calls, or trips connected to people from your past, especially that you may have known in your younger childhood years, or the word siblings, coming through April 1st to the 25th. Do you see those people and travel then? Maybe Mercury's just as happy to plan the trip during a retrograde as take the trip. Mercury retrograde here comes up with new ideas because they're from the past. He wants to restore them. He wants to bring up writing projects back from the past, ideas back from the past, communications and website projects back from the past. If Mercury is retrograding here, you might also expect the possibility of neighbors and neighborhood environments from the past reoccurring, like an old neighbor you haven't seen in ages is visiting or talks to you or calls you up. So neighbors from the past too. Now, learning environments, education that's skills-based, like getting a license or a certificate or something. You may have thought, oh, I'm not going to do that. Now Mercury's retrograde, or you learn something more about something, like you take another elevation of a course because you're learning something you've learned before. And I'm teaching something I've taught before. I'll probably be teaching Sky Reader during this retrograde. Now, this elemental fire year, not seen since 2017, enlivens the houses of 11, 6, and 3, which are comma or relationship houses, self and self, one on one, and one on many, group events, group people, group relating, energetically are alive in 2017. And now again, these are the 2 elemental fire year. So you'll see a lot of travel as well as a lot of connecting with others, significant partnerships in business, legal contracts, things that really up in the air, up around greater career gains, and also greater connections to larger groups of people or elder siblings and stuff like that. These are areas of the life for you that is on fire, but it's also good for new ideas and projects around ideas because it's all about the traditional comma houses are air signs. You have a lot of initiative around making new relationships happen with different kinds of people. Like I can speak to being on the Camino walk and meeting all these powerful new people, particularly women, and that will expand my social groups because of this year's fire element in the houses of relating for me, right? The relational energies are alive as an Aquarius rising. Now, Mercury will touch down. I'll be back on March 20th, coming up April 15th, retrograde touchdown, and direct on May 7th with Chiron. This conjunction with Chiron in 3 parts is one part of a 3-part story, 3 parts of a 1-part story. What are you healing in this Chironic wound of the 3rd house? It comes through very particular mercurial moments, maybe, communications, phone calls, emails, trips and travel opportunities, especially in the 3rd house. Look for those dates to be significant, as well, of course, as the Cazimi on the 11th and the eclipse on April the 8th. There'll be videos coming out about all of that. All right, Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising. You've been feeling chironically wounded in your earnings and face. How you look, your teeth, what you eat, and your earnings are all things to do. Jaw, teeth, throat, wounds, speech wounds, earnings wounds, possessions, resources, savings and money wounds, wounds around your appearance, wounds around your food style, what you can ingest or not ingest. This has been very active for a lot of Pisces ever since 2019. The wound is here. You're seeing it. It's been rubbed in your face, so to speak. A lot of Pisces I know have had financial earnings difficulties since 2019. My sister, Cindy, of Raven's Eye Oracle, it's been calamitous, guys. PayPal pulled the plug on her account for no good reason. No good reason. And now it happened again for her with another type of payment processor as a Chironic wound keeps edging into her 2nd house. Now it's turning around for a profound healing as we see this Chironic wound engaging with the eclipse, engaging with the Cazimi of Mercury in April. But I want you to kind of go back and think about March 20th. What happened? Where was this Chironic wound inflamed about this earnings and possessions part of the sky? Can you remember back then what happened? It's going to matter, give or take a day or two. I do believe that's when my sister had another payment processor disaster around the 20th, give or take a few days. And the other energy here is to look at the April 15th. So then we go March 20th, April 15th, May 7th, 3 touch points on the Chironic wound and the resources, earnings, money house of earnings, to support your life and all the other things I mentioned. But it can be really realistic, like, the jaw and teeth. So you had a cavity, felt like you had a cavity in March 20th, you go to the dentist on the 15th and you resolve it by May 7th, it could be that, right? Mercury here is about communication, but also about agreements. And so sometimes this can look like a job opportunity flowing from the 10th house from your past, because this is an Artha year. This is Mercury's elemental fire year that can bring resources through new jobs and new career opportunities from your past, April 1st to the 25th, re-emerging. You felt this energy of a lot of fire in your work, prosperity, career, material success houses in 2017. And here it is again, Pisces. Certainly with Venus here, the goddess of beauty, and you have a Chironic wound about your appearance. This is probably for some of you very literal. You're going to get that nose job, the teeth veneers, the face improvements going on, and heal the Chironic wound here. But Mercury retrograde, April 1st to the 25th, this is definitely career opportunities or money opportunities from the past wanting to come back to you in some way. Alrighty, I think I'm done. I hope that was useful. I don't think I forgot anything. Thanks for listening. Don't forget, if you like and subscribe to my channel, it helps the channel thrive in the algorithm. And as the algorithm loves the channel loves me, and I love you. How's that for a chain of command? Because then I'm excited to do videos because I'm growing. I'm excited to do videos because I'm thriving, and then you're thriving too, right? So this is something I'm enjoying quite a lot. I really enjoy making videos for you these days more than I like seeing clients, although I always finish with a client go, I love my clients, new and old, but the one-on-one work isn't my cup of tea. I have a Leo North Node in the 7th house, which really propels me to want to do more of this kind of content than it does to see you. I will be seeing clients sometime in the fall. I'm booked up, get on my wait list below, but I'm really pulling back on the number of clients I see and moving more to the things I enjoy, writing, teaching, and being here with you guys here on YouTube. All right, guys, see you later. Have a wonderful Mercury retrograde. Let me know what happens. Oh my God, this, excuse my language, shitstorm I've been going through with the tech issues and stuff going on April the 27th, 28th, 29th have been profound. It's been intense. Have a great Mercury retrograde nonetheless. Bye.